Hey everyone, Thomas with For Real Movie News and Reviews, here on the Flex Network to talk with you about movies. From new releases to upcoming blockbusters to the movie news you're going to want to know about, you're tuned in to Movies on Flex. I want to start this inaugural episode out with a massive thank you to my man, Matt Beck, for giving me this platform and this opportunity to talk with you guys about movies. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I'm glad that I can do it here. So, thanks, Matt. And a little bit about me. You guys don't know who I am, so let me introduce myself. As I said in the intro, my name is Thomas, and by day, I am a marketing professional, graphic designer, creative marketing lead. But in my free time, I run a movie blog called For Real Movie News and Reviews. This is a project that I work very closely with one of my best friends on. His name's Tim, and he contributes articles and reviews to that blog as well. You can check out both of our content at moviesforreal.net. That's for real spelled F-O-R-R-E-E-L. And you can also connect with the blog on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search at Movies for Real. I live in Bellingham. I have a wonderful husband and a whole bunch of animals. So if you hear any noises in the background, that could be the dogs, the cats, or the guinea pigs, or all of the above. So be prepared for that, but shouldn't be too big of an issue. All right, popping the topics for today up on the side of the screen. Really excited to talk with you about them. There's some very interesting stuff to discuss that came up in October as far as movie news goes. And then some interesting movies coming out in November. I want to tackle both months, review kind of the things that happened in October, and also look ahead to what you guys have to look forward to in November in the world of movies. So with it being the end of October, I felt like I should recap the scary thriller horror movies that I ended up watching over the course of the month. The movies that I rewatched include Hocus Pocus, The Nightmare Before Christmas, the original Halloween, Happy Death Day to You, The Conjuring 2, Annabelle Creation, The Town That Dreaded Sundown, Ma, Fright Night, Unfriended, Better Watch Out, and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. New horror movies that I watched included Blood Quantum, The Lodge, The Lighthouse, which I thought was incredibly interesting. I'm gonna throw Joker in here as well. It's not technically a horror movie, but there are some pretty horrific things that happen in that film. I think there's such a range of opinions on that film, depending on who you are and what you're going to it for. I need to see it again before I comment further. That being said, I think of all of those movies that I watched this month, I have to say that The Lighthouse really stands out.
What?
Not your typical horror movie. It's really just trying to crawl under your skin. And I think it did such a great job at doing that with the dialogue between Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. It's definitely a little more indie than I would typically talk about here on this show, but it is in mainstream theaters. So if it happens to be playing at a Cineplex near you and you want something interesting and different and creepy, just kind of out there movie-going experience, I would strongly recommend it. I'm actually considering it one of my favorite horror movies of the year. Alright guys, this is the segment of the show where I want to either rant, rave, or review about something that I've experienced recently when it comes to movies. It is a segment that I picked up from some friends over at the Lambcast. That is, if you haven't heard of them, that is the large association of movie blogs. And they have a whole bunch of content from bloggers all over the world, and I get to participate with some of their podcast entries, which they do every week. Check them out if you want even more content about movies from varying opinions of people with all different kinds of interest in film. All right, rants, raves, or reviews. So what am I going to do today? I am going to review. And it actually will probably spill a little bit into raving as well. So earlier in October, I had the opportunity to attend the Vancouver International Film Festival up in British Columbia, Canada. And one of the films that screened on their closing night was Ford v Ferrari.
It's awful. There's a problem. The computer will find it.
Get some scotch tape and a ball of wool.
What are they doing?
Making your car faster.
That's more like it!
There's a lot of excitement from this film, just from the people that I have talked to about it. And so when I saw that the Vancouver International Film Festival added it to the final day of the festival, I absolutely had to get tickets. You know, what I have to say is that Ford versus Ferrari is really just a fun, entertaining movie. Haven't heard of Ford versus Ferrari? Let me get you a synopsis. American car designer Carroll Shelby and driver Ken Miles battle corporate interference, the laws of physics, and their own personal demons to build a revolutionary race car for Ford and challenge Ferrari at the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1966. So we have a racing movie, and I didn't get around to that, what was it called? The Art of Racing in the Rain movie. It just didn't seem like my genre, and maybe I'll get around to it sometime, but I am actually very happy with what I got in Ford versus Ferrari for a race car movie. There's lots of competition kind of happening in this movie, even outside of racing. You have the head of Ford Motor Company, Henry Ford II, going up directly against Ferrari in this kind of anything you can do, I can do better type competition when it comes to this Le Mans race. You have Ken Miles, who is a British car driver played by Christian Bale, who doesn't really take well to authority, and so he spends the movie butting heads with anyone that tells him anything he doesn't like, which is pretty much everyone. Then there's this guy, Leo Beebe, I think is how you pronounce his last name, who is the right-hand man for Henry Ford II, and also has this big problem with any idea that isn't his. So he stirs up a whole bunch of drama whenever someone suggests something or does something that he didn't think of first. And in the middle of all of this, you have Carroll Shelby, who is played by Matt Damon, kind of being this level-headed professional mediator between all of these conflicts happening throughout the film. So yes, Ford versus Ferrari is not short of drama. But the more important thing, or the more interesting thing about this film is, I'm happy to say, the car racing. A significant portion of this movie takes place on tracks, and that seemed to give director James Mangold a whole lot of opportunity to really showcase the racing style and the racing kind of aspect of this film in a very interesting and engrossing way. It really kind of like pulls your attention in and makes you really like invested into these races. And besides the funny script and the great cinematography and the great casting choices, the other thing that really is just like the cherry on top for this movie is the sound design. When you do go see Ford versus Ferrari, find a good theater. Find a theater that you know has a great sound system. Pay that premium for the Dolby experience or for the IMAX experience if they have that. And get the best sound that you can, because that really just makes this movie so much fun to be a part of. When does Ford vs. Ferrari come out? Well, I'm glad you asked. Ford vs. Ferrari hits theaters November 15th. I'm confident there will be November 14th screenings, that Thursday before the release. And so it's just in a couple weeks, and I'm excited to see it again. I'm excited to take my friends to go see it. It's really a fun movie, and I recommend it for anyone out there who likes race cars, who likes sports movies. And yeah, I really think you're going to have a great time with it. You can actually read more about my opinion on Ford vs. Ferrari on my blog. I do have my review posted for that movie. It's really short, only about 250 words, so you can get the gist of what I thought in a very easy to read article and share it with your friends. Alright guys, but what was the big news that hit in October? Obviously, it's Star Wars.
And now, you're coming together. Is your undoing.
So, on October 21st, Disney Lucasfilm released the final full trailer for Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker during Monday Night Football. And at the same time, they released tickets so that audiences can go lock down their seats, lock down their tickets, and plan 2 months ahead of time when they're going to go see the movie. As a big Star Wars fan, I spent a lot of time counting down to this moment because, you know, getting that final trailer, we're obviously super interested to see what they're going to tell us, what they're going to reveal. And my reaction to the trailer is meh. So here's the thing, trailers, particularly high-profile trailers like Star Wars, have to walk this very thin line between telling you just enough without telling you too much. And I really think that the Rise of Skywalker trailer, it seemed like a collage of the highlights of the film, but it didn't really do much as far as telling us what the story is. Like, what are we building up to? If you keep up with Star Wars, you kind of know the components, you know the characters, you know the conflicts, but to reference another Disney property, what is the end game for this Skywalker saga? And the trailer just didn't really give us any of that. Now, what it did do is it showed us some really exciting action sequences. It pulled on our heartstrings. It threw every single style of spaceship that it could think of. So essentially, it seems like this trailer is trying to say, you're going to have fun in this movie. I just don't know what the climax of this movie is supposed to be. So I'm a little disappointed in that. At the same time, I also went into this trailer with the full self-aware understanding that I'm just not going to be satisfied with any marketing material until I get to see the movie. So there's really very little the trailer could have done to make me say, oh, I'm completely satisfied now. That's the point of the movie. If you haven't checked out the trailer, I do recommend it. Again, it doesn't really give anything away. It's just a lot of fun action going on and some heartstrings being pulled. Make sure also to get your tickets. Wait for that December video to hit. I'm going to be talking about all the Star Wars thoughts that I have at that point. Okay, you know now that I'm a big Star Wars fan. Let's talk about a franchise that I am not the biggest fan of. On Friday, November 1st, the movie Terminator Dark Fate hits theaters. And guys, I cannot express to you how much I am so uninterested in this movie. Terminator has kind of lost its way. It has no idea what it's trying to say, what it's trying to get to. And it kind of frustrates me because there is a clear end point that was outlined in the first movie. Like, you should know where you're going with this story. It was kind of spoiled in the first movie. All I want for the Terminator movies is to get to that time machine, right? I just want them to get to that place where the time machine sends the Terminator back in time to the first movie. Let's close that loop. Let's put a bow tie on this franchise and let's move on, okay? I do have to say, with Tim Miller in the director's chair for this one, there is a little optimism to be had. But I really feel like the consensus here is that the story just doesn't hold up, and it has a lot of great action. So that's kind of what I'm getting. If you really want to see an action flick and enjoy some great action sequences, this might be a really great movie for you. If you're like me and you're really just wanting the Terminator story to mean something again, maybe we'll go see something else. Which is a perfect segue into what's coming out in November. So the first weekend in November, we have kind of a slew of new movies. One of them, of course, being Terminator Dark Fate. But other movies include the animated film Arctic Dogs, the historic biopic Harriet, and the crime drama Motherless Brooklyn, which I did get to see at the Vancouver International Film Festival, and I do have a review posted on my blog. Finally, for Netflix subscribers, you also have The King hitting Netflix as well. November 8th is Midway, Playing with Fire, and Last Christmas. November 15th is Charlie's Angels and Ford v Ferrari, of course, which is a fantastic counter-programming weekend for action moviegoers. On November 22nd, 21 Bridges, Frozen 2, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. And then November 27th, Queen and Slim, Knives Out. And then on Netflix, the huge and highly buzzed film The Irishman hits Netflix. I will be seeing it in theaters a couple weeks before it comes out, and so keep an eye out on my blog for that review before it hits Netflix. And the final topic for today, I can't leave without reminding you all that on November 12th, Disney Plus goes live, and then you can have the whole universe of Disney at your disposal on your TV and ready to watch whenever. And actually, you can pre-order Disney Plus now if you go to, I think it's like disneyplus.com or something like that. Let me check real quick. Yep, disneyplus.com. All the information's there. Pre-order it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually really wanting to see what they do with The Mandalorian. I think that that's going to be a very interesting way of bringing the Star Wars universe to a platform that I honestly think it belongs in much more than in theaters. I mean, obviously the Skywalker saga has its place in history and its significance on the big screen. But of all the stories that Star Wars has to tell, I really think that this streaming platform is going to be the best place to do it. And I'm really, really hoping that The Mandalorian can kick that trend off in a very spectacular way. Alright guys, time for me to take off. Remember, if you want more content and more information about movies, movie industry analysis, reactions to things, you can find it on the blog For Real Movie News and Reviews. Just go to moviesforreal.net. For Real, of course, spelled Forreel. You can also connect with For Real on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Movies For Real. And hey, connect with me personally. I'm on Twitter. Look for me at being TSJ. Thanks for tuning in. We'll chat next month. Happy movieing.